"This shower is for the woman who will actually give my son children," the mother-in-law announced, hugging the mistress. She had invited Michelle specifically to humiliate her. Some women just can't do what nature intended. The door opened. Michelle walked in, with an 8-month pregnant belly. The room went silent. "I'm sorry I'm late. The doctors said quadruplets make you tired." She looked directly at her husband. "You're quadruplets, Marcus. I was going to surprise you at dinner tonight, but I guess your mother planned a different kind of surprise." But before we dive into the full story, let me know where you're watching from and what time it is. Now subscribe to the channel and let's get started. Some women are just not meant to be mothers, Michelle. I think we all need to accept that. Michelle Thompson sat at the dining table in Barbara's house and felt her stomach twist. Barbara smiled while she said it. The smile made it worse. Around the table, Marcus looked at his phone. He did not look up. He did not say anything. Michelle put down her fork, even though she was still hungry. This was how Sunday dinners always went. Barbara said something cruel. Marcus stayed silent. Michelle went home feeling smaller than before. But this Sunday dinner happened 2 years ago. Michelle remembered it now as she lay in bed at 6 o'clock in the morning. Marcus snored beside her. The bedroom was dark. Michelle stared at the ceiling and thought about all the Sunday dinners, all the cruel comments, all the times Marcus said nothing. Michelle got out of bed and walked to the bathroom. She looked at herself in the mirror. She was 32 years old. She had brown hair and green eyes. She looked tired. She splashed water on her face and got dressed for work. She wore jeans and a gray sweater. She pulled her hair into a ponytail. She walked past the second bedroom in their small apartment. The door was closed. The room was empty except for some boxes. They were supposed to fill that room with a crib and baby things. That was the plan 3 years ago when they got married. Michelle made coffee in the kitchen. Marcus came out of the bedroom wearing his suit. He worked as a financial advisor at a firm downtown. He poured himself coffee without saying good morning. He checked his phone while he drank. "I have a late meeting tonight," Marcus said. He did not look at Michelle when he spoke. "Okay," Michelle said. "What time will you be home?" "I do not know. Do not wait up." Marcus put his cup in the sink and left. Michelle heard the front door close. She stood in the kitchen alone. The coffee tasted bitter. Michelle drove to Harrison Park School in Northeast Portland. She taught 3rd grade. She had been teaching for 8 years. She loved her job. She loved her students. When she walked into her classroom, she felt better. The walls were covered with colorful posters. Student artwork hung on a clothesline across one wall. A fish tank sat by the window. 3 goldfish swam in circles. Her students arrived at 8:30 a.m. 22 children with backpacks and lunchboxes. They sat at their desks and looked at Michelle with trusting faces. Michelle took attendance. Then she taught a math lesson about addition. After math, she taught reading. A boy named David struggled with sounding out words. Michelle sat beside him and helped him work through a sentence. When David finally read the whole sentence correctly, he smiled. Michelle smiled too. This was why she became a teacher. At noon, Michelle went to the teacher's lounge for lunch. Her best friend Jessica Martinez was already there. Jessica taught 5th grade. Jessica had dark curly hair and a loud laugh. She was eating a sandwich and grading papers. "Hey," Jessica said when Michelle sat down. "You look tired." "I am tired," Michelle said. She opened her lunch bag and pulled out an apple. "Is everything okay?" Jessica asked. "Everything is fine," Michelle said. She bit into the apple even though she was not hungry. Jessica looked at Michelle for a long moment. "You do not seem fine. You have not seemed fine for a while." Michelle wanted to tell Jessica the truth. She wanted to say that her marriage was falling apart. She wanted to say that Marcus barely talked to her anymore. She wanted to say that his mother made her feel worthless every single week. But Michelle did not say any of those things. She just smiled and said she was stressed about lesson planning. Jessica did not look convinced, but she let it go. They talked about their students for the rest of lunch. Then Michelle went back to her classroom and taught science. The children learned about plants. They planted bean seeds in paper cups. Michelle told them that with water and sunlight the seeds would grow. The children were excited. Michelle wished growing a family was as simple as planting seeds. Michelle drove home at 4 o'clock. Marcus was not there. He came home late most nights now. Michelle walked through the empty apartment. She opened the door to the second bedroom and looked inside. Boxes filled with winter clothes and old books. No crib, no rocking chair, no sign that a baby would ever live there. Michelle made dinner. She cooked chicken and rice. She set the table for 2 people. She waited. Marcus came home at 8 o'clock. His suit jacket smelled like perfume. Not Michelle's perfume. Something sweeter. Michelle did not say anything. Marcus did not explain. They ate dinner without talking. The only sound was forks against plates. Michelle tried to think of something to say, something that would make Marcus look at her, but she could not find the words. After dinner, Marcus went to the living room and turned on the television. Michelle washed the dishes alone. Later that night, Michelle lay in bed next to Marcus. He fell asleep quickly. Michelle could not sleep. She thought about the appointment she had made, the appointment at Oregon Health and Science University, the fertility clinic. She had been researching in vitro fertilization for 3 months. She read everything she could find. The procedure was expensive. It cost thousands of dollars. Michelle had been saving money for 2 years. She kept the money in a separate account that Marcus did not know about. Michelle had asked Marcus to provide a sample 3 weeks ago. She told him it was for storage at the clinic, just in case they wanted to try treatment later. Marcus agreed, but he looked uncomfortable. He said he needed time to think about whether he wanted to go through with it. Michelle said okay, but inside she felt hurt. She felt like Marcus did not want children with her anymore. Maybe he never did. Michelle got out of bed and walked to the living room. She opened her laptop. She logged into her email and read the confirmation for her appointment. The embryo transfer was scheduled for next month. She was going to do it with or without Marcus's support. She was going to have a baby. She had been trying for too long to give up now. Michelle closed her laptop and went back to bed. Marcus was still snoring. Michelle lay on her side and put her hand on her stomach. Next month, she thought. Next month, everything will change. But Michelle did not know that Marcus was already changing things. The perfume on his shirt was not an accident. The late meetings were not really meetings. Marcus had been spending time with someone else, a young woman with blonde hair who worked at his office. Her name was Amber Collins. She was 24 years old. She laughed at Marcus's jokes. She made him feel young and free. She did not ask him about having babies or going to doctors. The same month Michelle scheduled her embryo transfer, Marcus started coming home later and later, and Michelle started to notice things, small things that added up to something she did not want to believe. Marcus left the house at 6:30 the next morning. Michelle was already awake. She heard him moving around the bedroom. She kept her eyes closed and pretended to sleep. Marcus did not say goodbye. The front door closed quietly. Michelle opened her eyes and looked at the empty space beside her. The sheets were cold. She got up and went to the bathroom. She had her appointment at the fertility clinic today. Dr. Sarah Chen would perform the embryo transfer. Michelle told her principal she had a doctor appointment. She did not say what kind. Michelle drove to Oregon Health and Science University. The hospital sat on a hill overlooking Portland. She parked in the garage and took the elevator to the 4th floor. The fertility clinic waiting room was quiet. 2 other women sat in chairs reading magazines. Michelle checked in at the front desk. "Michelle Thompson," she said to the receptionist. "Yes, we have you down for 9 o'clock. Please have a seat. Dr. Chen will be with you shortly." Michelle sat down and waited. She put her hand on her purse. Inside was the consent form she had signed 3 weeks ago. Marcus's sample was already stored at the clinic. Everything was ready. Michelle felt nervous but also determined. She was doing this. A nurse called her name 20 minutes later. Michelle followed the nurse down a hallway to an examination room. The nurse told Michelle to change into a gown. Michelle put on the thin paper gown and sat on the examination table. Her legs dangled over the edge. The room was cold. Dr. Chen came in wearing blue scrubs. She was a small woman with black hair and kind eyes. She smiled at Michelle. "Good morning, Michelle. How are you feeling?" "Nervous," Michelle said honestly. "That is completely normal. This is a big step. I want to review the procedure one more time before we begin. Is that okay?" "Yes, Doctor." Chen explained how she would transfer the embryos into Michelle's uterus using a thin catheter. The procedure would take about 15 minutes. It was not painful, but Michelle might feel some cramping. After the transfer, Michelle would need to rest for 30 minutes before going home. Then she would wait 2 weeks before taking a pregnancy test. "Do you have any questions?" Dr. Chen asked. Michelle wanted to ask if Dr. Chen thought it would work. She wanted to ask what happened if it did not work. She wanted to ask if she was making a mistake doing this without Marcus's full support, but Michelle did not ask any of those things. She just shook her head. "No questions." "Okay, let me get everything prepared. I will be right back." Dr. Chen left the room. Michelle lay back on the examination table and stared at the ceiling. She thought about Marcus at his office right now. He had no idea what she was doing. He did not ask about her day this morning. He did not ask where she was going. Michelle felt alone, but she also felt strong. She was taking control of her life. Dr. Chen came back with a nurse. They performed the procedure exactly as Dr. Chen described. Michelle felt some pressure and mild cramping, but no real pain. She watched the monitor and saw the tiny embryos being transferred. 4 small dots on the screen. 4 chances at a baby. When the procedure was done, Michelle rested in a recovery room. She lay on a bed with a warm blanket over her legs. The nurse brought her water and crackers. Michelle closed her eyes and silently prayed that the embryos would attach, that they would grow, that in 9 months she would hold a baby in her arms. After 30 minutes, the nurse said Michelle could get dressed and go home. Michelle drove back to her apartment carefully. Every bump in the road made her nervous. She went inside and lay on the couch. She was supposed to rest for the remainder of the day. She called Jessica. "Hey," Jessica answered. "How did it go?" "It is done," Michelle said. "Now I wait." "Are you okay? Do you need me to come over?" "No, I am fine. I just need to rest." "Call me if you need anything. I mean it." "I will. Thank you, Jessica." Michelle hung up and closed her eyes. She put her hand on her stomach. "Please work," she thought. "Please." 2 weeks passed slowly. Michelle went to work every day. She taught her students and graded papers. She came home to an empty apartment most nights. Marcus worked late 4 times that week. When he was home, he was distant. He sat on the couch with his laptop and did not talk. Michelle did not tell him about the embryo transfer. She decided to wait until she knew if it worked. On the 14th day after the transfer, Michelle woke up early. She went to the bathroom and took the pregnancy test she had hidden in the cabinet. She peed on the stick and set it on the counter. She waited 3 minutes. Those 3 minutes felt like 3 hours. Michelle picked up the test. 2 pink lines. Positive. Michelle sat on the edge of the bathtub and stared at the test. She was pregnant. After 2 years of trying and failing, she was finally pregnant. Tears ran down her face, but they were not just happy tears. They were complicated tears. She was pregnant and her husband was pulling away from her. Michelle got ready for work. She put the pregnancy test in her purse. She wanted to show Jessica. She drove to school and parked in her usual spot. Jessica was waiting by the front entrance. "I need to show you something," Michelle said. She pulled Jessica into the empty teacher's lounge. Michelle took the pregnancy test out of her purse. Jessica looked at it and her eyes got wide. "Oh my God, Michelle, you are pregnant?" "Yes." Jessica hugged Michelle tightly. "This is amazing. When are you going to tell Marcus?" "I do not know yet. I want to go to the doctor first. I want to make sure everything is okay." "When is your appointment?" "Next week. Will you come with me?" "Of course I will," Jessica said. "But Michelle, you need to tell Marcus soon. He deserves to know." Michelle nodded, but she felt uncertain. Did Marcus deserve to know? He had been so distant, so cold. Something was wrong, and Michelle was afraid to find out what it was. That night, Marcus came home at 9:30. Michelle was sitting on the couch. She had been waiting for him. "Where were you?" Michelle asked. "I had a client dinner," Marcus said. He took off his jacket and hung it in the closet. "What client?" Marcus looked at Michelle with irritation. "Why are you asking me so many questions? Because you are never home anymore. Because you barely talk to me. Because something is wrong and you will not tell me what it is." "Nothing is wrong, Michelle. I am just busy with work." "Is that all it is?" "Yes, that is all it is. I am tired. I am going to bed." Marcus walked into the bedroom and closed the door. Michelle sat on the couch alone. She did not believe him. She knew something was wrong. She just did not know how wrong it really was. The next day, Michelle did laundry. She picked up Marcus's suit jacket from the closet. She felt something in the pocket. She pulled out a receipt from a restaurant called Andina. It was dated from 3 nights ago. The receipt showed 2 entrees, 2 glasses of wine, and dessert. The total was $112. Marcus told Michelle he was working late that night. He said he ate a sandwich at his desk. Michelle's hands shook as she held the receipt. Marcus lied to her. He went to a nice restaurant with someone. He bought them dinner and wine and dessert. Michelle felt sick. When Marcus came home that evening, Michelle was waiting with the receipt in her hand. "What is this?" Michelle asked. She held up the receipt. Marcus looked at it. His face changed. "That is from a work dinner. You told me you worked late that night. You said you ate at your desk." "I forgot about the dinner. It was with a client." "What client?" "Michelle, why are you interrogating me?" "Because you are lying to me." Michelle's voice got loud. She never yelled, but she was yelling now. "You took someone to a nice restaurant and you lied about it. Who did you have dinner with?" "It was a client. I do not remember her name." "Her?" Marcus realized his mistake. He turned away from Michelle. "I do not want to do this right now." "Do what? Tell me the truth?" Marcus turned back to face Michelle. His eyes were cold. "You want the truth? Fine. I am not happy. I have not been happy for a long time. I feel trapped. I feel like I cannot breathe in this marriage." Michelle felt like she had been hit. "So you are having an affair?" "I did not say that." "But you are. You are seeing someone else." Marcus did not answer. He just looked at Michelle with empty eyes. "I need space," Marcus finally said. "I need time to think about what I want." "What you want?" Michelle's voice broke. "What about what we want? What about our marriage?" "I do not know if I want this marriage anymore, Michelle. I think I need to move out for a while." Michelle stared at Marcus. She was pregnant with his child, with their child, and he was leaving. "When?" Michelle whispered. "Tomorrow. I will pack my things tomorrow." Marcus walked into the bedroom and closed the door. Michelle stood in the living room with the receipt still in her hand. Her whole world was falling apart, and he had no idea that she was carrying his baby inside her. Marcus opened the bedroom door at 7 o'clock the next morning. He pulled 2 suitcases from the closet. Michelle sat on the couch in the living room. She watched him walk back and forth between the bedroom and the front door. He did not look at her. Michelle wanted to tell him about the pregnancy. The words were in her throat, but every time she opened her mouth, nothing came out. Marcus was leaving. He said he needed space. Would telling him about the baby change anything? Or would it just trap him in a marriage he did not want? Marcus packed his clothes first, then his laptop and phone charger, then his favorite coffee maker from the kitchen. He took down half of the wedding photos from the wall. Michelle watched him remove their wedding picture from above the television. In the photo, they were smiling. Marcus had his arm around Michelle's waist. They looked happy. That was 5 years ago. It felt like a different lifetime. "I am taking these," Marcus said. He held up the stack of photos. "Unless you want them." "Take them," Michelle said. Her voice sounded flat even to herself. Marcus put the photos in a cardboard box. He walked to the front door with his 2 suitcases and the box. He finally looked at Michelle. "I will call you," he said. "When?" "I do not know. When I figure things out." "Where are you going to stay?" "I got an apartment in Northwest Portland, near my office." Michelle nodded. She did not ask for the address. She did not ask if he was going there alone. She just sat on the couch and watched her husband leave. The door closed behind him. Michelle heard his footsteps in the hallway. Then silence. Michelle sat without moving for almost an hour. She looked around the apartment. It felt empty even though most of their things were still there. The second bedroom door was still closed. Inside that room was supposed to be a crib and baby clothes and all the things they planned to buy together. Now Michelle would buy those things alone. If she decided to keep the pregnancy a secret from Marcus. If she decided to do this without him. Michelle's phone rang. She looked at the screen. It was Jessica. "Hello," Michelle answered. "Are you okay? I have been worried about you." "Marcus moved out this morning." "What?" "Michelle, I am coming over right now. You have school." "I am calling in sick. I will be there in 20 minutes." Jessica hung up before Michelle could argue. Michelle set her phone down and finally let herself cry. Not big sobs, just quiet tears that ran down her face and dripped onto her shirt. She cried for her marriage. She cried for the plans they made that would never happen. She cried because she was pregnant and the father of her baby just walked out the door. Jessica arrived with coffee and donuts. She had a key to Michelle's apartment. She let herself in and found Michelle still sitting on the couch with tears on her face. Jessica put the coffee and donuts on the table and sat next to Michelle. She pulled Michelle into a hug. "I am so sorry," Jessica said. "He does not know," Michelle whispered. "He does not know about the baby." "You did not tell him?" Michelle shook her head. "How could I? He was packing his suitcases and telling me he needed space. If I told him about the baby, he would think I was trying to trap him. He would stay because he felt obligated. I do not want him to stay out of obligation. I want him to stay because he loves me." "Oh, Michelle. I think he is seeing someone else. I think that is why he left." Jessica did not say anything. She just held Michelle and let her cry. After a while, Michelle stopped crying. She wiped her eyes and picked up one of the coffees Jessica brought. She took a sip. It was still warm. "I have an ultrasound appointment next week," Michelle said. "Will you still come with me?" "Of course I will. I need to know if the pregnancy is okay before I make any decisions." "What kind of decisions?" "About whether to tell Marcus. About what to do next." Jessica squeezed Michelle's hand. "Whatever you decide, I am here for you. You are not alone." But Michelle felt alone. She went back to work the next day. She taught her students and smiled when she was supposed to smile. At lunch, other teachers asked where she had been yesterday. Michelle said she was not feeling well. That was not a lie. She was not feeling well at all, but it had nothing to do with being sick. Michelle wore loose sweaters to work. She was only a few weeks pregnant, but she felt paranoid that people would notice. She drank water instead of coffee. She brought crackers to eat when she felt nauseous. She went through the motions of her normal life while inside everything had changed. Marcus called on Thursday evening. It had been 4 days since he moved out. "Hi," he said when Michelle answered. "Hi, I just wanted to check in. See how you are doing." "I am fine." "Good, that is good." There was a long silence. Michelle waited for Marcus to say something real, something honest, but he did not. "I should go," Marcus finally said. "I just wanted to make sure you were okay." "Marcus, are you seeing someone?" Another silence. "I think we should take some time before we have that conversation," Marcus said. "That means yes." "Michelle, just tell me the truth. Are you seeing someone else?" "I have been spending time with someone from work. It is not serious." Michelle felt like all the air left her lungs. She knew it was true, but hearing Marcus say it made it real. "How long?" Michelle asked. "It does not matter." "How long, Marcus?" "A few weeks, maybe a month." I do not know exactly. A month. Marcus started his affair a month ago, the same month Michelle had her embryo transfer. While she was at the fertility clinic trying to have his baby, he was having dinner with another woman. I have to go, Michelle said. She hung up before Marcus could respond. She turned off her phone and threw it on the couch. Then she walked to the bathroom and got sick. The ultrasound appointment was on Tuesday afternoon. Jessica drove Michelle to the hospital. They sat in the waiting room together. Michelle filled out paperwork. Jessica held Michelle's purse and looked at magazines without really reading them. A nurse called Michelle's name. Jessica stood up with her. They followed the nurse to an examination room. Michelle changed into a gown and lay on the table. Jessica sat in a chair next to her and held her hand. Dr. Chen came in smiling. She wheeled the ultrasound machine next to the table. "How are you feeling, Michelle?" "Tired. A little nauseous." "That is normal. Let us take a look and see how things are progressing." Dr. Chen squeezed gel onto Michelle's stomach. The gel was cold. Dr. Chen pressed the ultrasound wand against Michelle's belly and looked at the screen. She moved the wand around slowly. Her smile faded. She looked more carefully at the screen. "Is something wrong?" Michelle asked. Her heart started beating faster. "No, nothing is wrong. I am just seeing something unexpected. Give me one moment." Dr. Chen measured something on the screen. She moved the wand to a different position. Then she looked at Michelle. "Michelle, you are carrying 4 embryos. All 4 embryos from the transfer attached. You are pregnant with quadruplets." Michelle stared at Dr. Chen. "4 babies?" "Yes, 4 healthy embryos. I can show you on the screen. See these 4 areas here? Each one is a developing embryo." Michelle looked at the screen. She saw 4 small, blurry shapes. 4 babies. Jessica squeezed Michelle's hand tightly. "Oh my God," Jessica whispered. Dr. Chen explained that multiple pregnancies were riskier. Michelle would need to see her doctor more often. She would need bed rest in the final months. She might need to stop working earlier than normal. There were risks of premature birth and complications. Dr. Chen went through everything carefully. Michelle barely heard the words. She was pregnant with 4 babies, 4 of Marcus's babies. And Marcus did not even know about 1 baby. How would she tell him about 4? "Do you have any questions?" Dr. Chen asked. "Can I have a copy of the ultrasound?" Michelle asked. "Of course." Dr. Chen printed several copies of the ultrasound image. She handed them to Michelle. Michelle stared at the picture. 4 tiny shapes that would become 4 people. 4 lives that depended on her. Jessica drove Michelle home after the appointment. Neither of them talked much in the car. When they got to Michelle's apartment, they sat on the couch together. 4 babies, Jessica said. "Michelle, that is amazing and terrifying, but amazing." "I cannot do this alone," Michelle said. "How can I raise 4 babies by myself?" "You are not by yourself. You have me. You have your parents. We will help you." "But Marcus made his choice. He left. You did not ask him to leave. You did not ask him to have an affair. He did those things. Now you have to decide what is best for you and for these babies." Michelle looked at the ultrasound picture. Jessica was right. Marcus made his choices. Now Michelle had to make hers. That weekend, Michelle went to lunch with a friend from college. Her name was Sarah. They met at a cafe in downtown Portland. Sarah talked about her job and her boyfriend. Then she looked uncomfortable. "I need to tell you something," Sarah said. "I saw Marcus last week. He was at a restaurant on Hawthorne. He was with a woman, a young blonde woman. They were holding hands." Michelle nodded slowly. "I know. He told me he is seeing someone." "I am so sorry, Michelle. I did not know if I should tell you or not." "It is okay. Thank you for telling me." Michelle went home after lunch. She sat on her couch and looked at the ultrasound picture again. Marcus was out with his blonde girlfriend holding hands, and Michelle was home alone carrying 4 of his children. That night, Michelle cried again. She cried harder than she cried when Marcus left. She cried until she had no tears left. Then she got up and washed her face. She looked at herself in the bathroom mirror. Her eyes were red and puffy. Her face was blotchy, but she was still standing. Michelle made a decision. She would have these babies, all 4 of them. She would do it without Marcus. She did not need him. She did not need his mother who hated her. She would build a life for herself and her children. It would be hard. It would be the hardest thing she ever did. But she would do it. Michelle put her hand on her stomach. She felt a small flutter. Maybe it was too early to feel movement. Maybe it was just her imagination. But Michelle chose to believe it was her babies. 4 small lives growing inside her. 4 reasons to be strong. Marcus called again the next week. Michelle answered. "How are you?" Marcus asked. "I am fine." "Good. I am still figuring things out. I hope you understand." "I understand," Michelle said. And she did understand. Marcus was choosing someone else. He was choosing an easier life without the complications of a wife who struggled with fertility. He had no idea that the fertility struggle was over, that Michelle was pregnant with 4 of his children. And Michelle decided she would not tell him yet. She would wait. She would see if Marcus came back on his own. She would see if he even cared enough to ask real questions about her life. But Marcus did not ask questions. He just said goodbye and hung up. Michelle put her phone away and went to her second bedroom. She opened the door and looked at the empty space. She would need 4 cribs, 4 changing tables, 4 of everything. She started making a list. There was a lot to do, and she would do it all herself. 3 months passed. Michelle's belly started growing. She wore bigger and bigger sweaters. She told people at school she was stress eating after her separation from Marcus. Most people believed her. She was now 4 months pregnant and starting to show. She bought maternity clothes in large sizes. She wore baggy dresses and oversized jackets. She was hiding 4 babies, and so far no one suspected. Then one day in November, Michelle checked her mail. There was an envelope with Barbara's return address on it. Michelle had not seen or talked to Barbara since Marcus left. She opened the envelope slowly. Inside was a card with pink and blue baby footprints on the front. An invitation to a baby shower. Michelle read the invitation 3 times. The shower was for someone named Amber Collins. The shower was at Barbara's house. Michelle was invited. Michelle sat down on her couch, still holding the invitation. She put her hand on her round belly. She was 5 months pregnant with quadruplets, and Barbara was throwing a baby shower for someone named Amber Collins. Michelle pulled out her phone. She searched for Amber Collins on social media. She found her in seconds. 24 years old, blonde hair, works as a receptionist at Marcus's financial firm. Michelle clicked on Amber's photos. There were pictures of Amber at restaurants, pictures of Amber at the beach, and pictures of Amber with Marcus. Michelle felt something break inside her, but it was not her heart breaking. Her heart already broke when Marcus left. This was something else. This was anger, pure and clear and powerful. Barbara sent Michelle an invitation to watch Marcus's girlfriend celebrate her pregnancy. But Barbara had no idea what Michelle was carrying, and Michelle decided right then that she would show her. Michelle called Jessica immediately. Jessica answered on the second ring. "Can you come over?" Michelle asked. "I need to show you something." "Is everything okay? Are the babies okay?" "The babies are fine. Just please come over." Jessica arrived 30 minutes later. Michelle opened the door and handed Jessica the invitation before she even took off her coat. Jessica read it. Her face turned red. "This is sick," Jessica said. "Barbara is sick. She knows you struggled with fertility. She knows Marcus left you. And she sent you this? She wants me to see that Marcus got someone else pregnant. She wants me to feel like I failed." Jessica threw the invitation on the coffee table. "We are not going to this. We are going to throw this away and forget it exists." "No," Michelle said quietly. "I am going." Jessica stared at Michelle. "You are joking." "I am not joking. I am going to that baby shower. Michelle, why would you do that to yourself? It will be awful. Barbara will be awful. Marcus will be there with his pregnant girlfriend. Why would you walk into that? Michelle picked up the invitation and held it. Because Barbara thinks I am broken. She thinks I am weak. She thinks I will hide and cry, but I am not broken. I am pregnant with 4 babies, 4 of Marcus's babies, and I am not hiding anymore. Jessica sat down on the couch. She looked at Michelle for a long time. You want to show up pregnant? Yes. You want to walk into that house with your belly showing everyone you are carrying quadruplets? Yes. And you have not told Marcus yet? No. He does not deserve to hear it from me in private. He left me. He started an affair. He gets to find out the same way Barbara finds out, by seeing me walk through that door. Jessica was quiet. Then a small smile appeared on her face. You know what? I think this is a great idea. Barbara has been cruel to you for 5 years. She deserves this. And Marcus? He definitely deserves this. Will you help me? Help you do what? Find a dress. I need a dress that shows my belly. I need to look good. I need to walk in there looking strong and healthy and very obviously pregnant. Jessica stood up. We are going shopping right now. They drove to a maternity store in downtown Portland. The store was full of pregnant women looking at clothes. Michelle and Jessica walked through the racks of dresses. Michelle pulled out several options: a red dress, a black dress, a green dress with flowers. Jessica held them while Michelle kept looking. Then Michelle saw it, a blue dress on a mannequin near the window. The dress was simple, knee-length with short sleeves. The fabric was soft and stretched over the mannequin's fake pregnant belly. The color was a deep blue that reminded Michelle of the sky. That one, Michelle said. She pointed at the blue dress. A saleswoman came over. Would you like to try that on? What size do you need? I am carrying quadruplets, Michelle said, so I am not sure what size I need. The saleswoman's eyes went wide. Quadruplets? Oh my goodness. Congratulations. Let me get you a few different sizes. The saleswoman brought 3 sizes of the blue dress. Michelle went into the fitting room and tried on the medium first. It fit, but was a little tight. She tried the large. It fit perfectly. The dress showed her round belly clearly. There was no hiding it. No pretending she had just gained weight. Anyone who saw her in this dress would know she was very pregnant. Michelle came out of the fitting room. Jessica looked at her and nodded. That is the one. You look beautiful. I look pregnant. You look beautiful and pregnant. That dress is perfect. Michelle looked at herself in the full-length mirror. She did look pregnant. Very pregnant. Her belly pushed against the blue fabric. She looked like a woman carrying a baby. Actually, she looked like a woman carrying several babies, which she was. I will take this one, Michelle told the saleswoman. They bought the dress. Jessica also made Michelle buy new shoes and a small purse. They went to lunch at a cafe nearby. Michelle ordered soup and bread. She was hungry all the time now. Feeding 4 babies took a lot of energy. When is the baby shower? Jessica asked. 2 weeks from Saturday. And you are really going to do this? Yes. What if Marcus gets angry? Let him be angry. I am angry too. I have been carrying his children for 5 months without telling him. Do you know why I have not told him? Because he never asks. He calls once a week and asks how I am doing. I say fine. He says good. Then he hangs up. He does not ask real questions. He does not care enough to notice I am pregnant. So yes, I am going to walk into that baby shower and let him find out the hard way. Jessica ate her sandwich. What about after? What happens after the baby shower? I do not know yet. I need to talk to a lawyer. I need to file for divorce. I need to figure out custody and child support. Marcus will have to pay for 4 children. That will not be cheap. Do you know a divorce lawyer? Michelle shook her head. No. Do you? My cousin used a lawyer named Patricia Hoffman when she got divorced. She said Patricia was tough. Really tough. She does not let men get away with anything. Can you send me her information? I will text it to you right now. That evening, Michelle called Patricia Hoffman's office. A secretary answered and said Patricia was with a client. Michelle left her name and number. Patricia called back an hour later. "This is Patricia Hoffman. I got a message that you called about a divorce consultation." "Yes," Michelle said. "I need help. My husband left me 5 months ago. He is seeing someone else, and I am pregnant with his children. He does not know yet." "How pregnant are you?" 5 months. I am carrying quadruplets from in vitro fertilization." Patricia was quiet for a moment. "He does not know you are pregnant with 4 of his children?" "No. He left before I found out. And he never asks about my life. He calls once a week, but the conversations are short. I decided not to tell him." "That is not illegal. You have no obligation to tell him before filing for divorce. When do you want to tell him?" "His mother is throwing a baby shower for his pregnant girlfriend in 2 weeks. I am going to attend. I am going to walk in there and let everyone see I am pregnant." Patricia laughed. It was a sharp, satisfied laugh. "I like you already. Can you come to my office tomorrow? We should talk about this in person." "What time?" "How about 10 o'clock in the morning? I will be there." Patricia gave Michelle the address. It was in a building downtown overlooking the Willamette River. Michelle wrote it down. The next morning, Michelle took a personal day from school. She told her principal she had a doctor appointment. That was not completely a lie. She was seeing Dr. Chen later that afternoon. But first, she was seeing Patricia Hoffman. Patricia's office was on the 10th floor. Michelle took the elevator up. The reception area had leather chairs and a large window with a view of the river. Michelle checked in with the receptionist. She sat down to wait. Patricia came out 5 minutes later. She was a tall woman with gray hair cut short. She wore a black suit and glasses. She looked at Michelle and smiled. "Michelle Thompson?" "Yes." "Come on back." Michelle followed Patricia to her office. The office had more windows with more views of the river. Patricia's desk was covered with files and legal books. She gestured for Michelle to sit in a chair across from the desk. "Tell me everything," Patricia said. So Michelle told her. She told Patricia about Barbara's cruelty for 5 years, about the fertility struggles, about Marcus leaving and the affair with Amber, about the embryo transfer and the quadruplets, about the baby shower invitation. Patricia listened without interrupting. She took notes on a yellow legal pad. When Michelle finished, Patricia leaned back in her chair. "This is the most satisfying case I have taken in years." "What do you mean?" "I mean your husband abandoned you. He had an affair, and you are carrying 4 of his children that he knows nothing about. Oregon is not a fault state for divorce, but his behavior will help us. We can get you full custody. We can get you significant child support. 4 children is expensive. Marcus will be paying for a long time." "I want full custody," Michelle said. "Marcus left. He chose to leave. He does not get to come back now and play father when it is convenient." "I agree. Let me ask you something. When do you want to file the papers?" "Can we file them right before the baby shower?" Patricia smiled. "We can file them the day before. We can have Marcus served at his office the morning of the baby shower. He will get the papers right before he goes to that party. He will read about the quadruplets in legal documents. Then you will walk in pregnant a few hours later." Michelle felt something warm in her chest. It was not anger anymore. It was power. "Can we really do that?" "Absolutely. I will draft the papers this week. You come back and sign them. We file them the day before the shower. Marcus gets served that morning. Then you make your entrance." "What about Barbara? Can we keep her away from the babies?" "You will have full custody. You get to decide who has access to your children. If you do not want Barbara around them, you can make that clear. She has no legal rights as a grandparent unless she petitions the court. And given her treatment of you, I do not think a judge would grant her anything." Michelle felt tears in her eyes, but they were not sad tears. They were relief tears. "Thank you." "Do not thank me yet. We have work to do. But Michelle, you are doing the right thing. You are protecting yourself and your children. That is what a good mother does." Michelle left Patricia's office and drove to her appointment with Dr. Chen. Dr. Chen did another ultrasound. All 4 babies were growing well. They were healthy and strong, just like their mother. That night, Michelle marked the date of the baby shower on her calendar. 2 weeks from Saturday. 14 days. She had 14 days to prepare. 14 days to get ready for the moment when she would stop hiding and start living her truth. Michelle touched her belly and felt the babies move. "We are going to be okay," she whispered. "All 5 of us are going to be okay." Michelle went back to Patricia's office 4 days later. Patricia had the divorce papers ready. They sat at the desk together. Patricia went through each page and explained what Michelle was signing. "This is the petition for divorce," Patricia said. "We are citing irreconcilable differences. Oregon is a no-fault state, but we document Marcus's abandonment and affair in the supporting materials. This helps with custody." Michelle nodded. She read the papers carefully. "This section addresses custody. We are requesting full physical custody with supervised visitation for Marcus. We document that he left the marital home, that he had an affair, and that he showed no interest in the fertility treatments. We also document that you are currently 22 weeks pregnant with quadruplets conceived during the marriage." 22 weeks pregnant, Michelle repeated. "That sounds so official." "It is official. You are more than halfway through your pregnancy. These babies are coming whether Marcus is ready or not." Patricia turned to the next section. "This is the child support request. Oregon has guidelines for calculating child support based on income and number of children. 4 children means significant support. Based on Marcus's income as a financial advisor, we estimate he will pay between $3,000 and $4,000 per month." Michelle's eyes went wide. "That much? That is for 4 children. It costs money to raise children. Food, clothing, medical care, child care, education. Marcus helped create these children. He pays for them." Michelle signed each page where Patricia indicated. Her hand shook a little. This was real. She was divorcing Marcus. She was taking control of her life. "When will he be served?" Michelle asked. "The baby shower is on Saturday, November 18th. We will file these papers on Friday, November 17th. The process server will deliver them to Marcus at his office between 9 and 10 o'clock on Saturday morning. He will have the papers in his hands by 10:30 at the latest. The baby shower starts at 2 o'clock, correct?" "Yes, 2 o'clock at Barbara's house in West Lynn." "Perfect. Marcus will have about 3 hours to read the papers and process what they say before you arrive. He will know about the quadruplets before he sees you, but just barely." Michelle felt her heart beat faster. "What if he calls me after he gets the papers?" "Do not answer. Let him sit with the information. Let him panic. You have been sitting with difficult information for 5 months. He can sit with it for 3 hours." Michelle left Patricia's office with copies of the divorce papers in her purse. She drove home and put them in her desk drawer. Then she called Jessica. "The papers are filed," Michelle said. "Marcus gets served Saturday morning. How do you feel?" "Scared, excited, powerful, all of it at the same time." "We should practice what you are going to say," Jessica said. "Can I come over tonight?" "Yes, please." Jessica arrived at Michelle's apartment at 7 o'clock. She brought Chinese food. They ate on the couch and then started practicing. Jessica pretended to be different people at the baby shower. First, she was Barbara. "What are you doing here?" Jessica said in a high-pitched voice. "You were not supposed to actually come." "Hello, Barbara," Michelle said calmly. "Thank you for the invitation. I apologize for being late. Carrying quadruplets makes everything take longer." Jessica clapped. "Good. Stay calm. Do not get emotional. Just state facts." They practiced again. This time, Jessica was Marcus. "Michelle, are you pregnant? Is that baby mine?" "Yes, Marcus. All 4 babies are yours. I had the embryo transfer 6 months before you started seeing Amber. I was going to tell you at a special dinner, but then you left." "Perfect," Jessica said. "Simple and direct. What if he tries to touch you?" I step back. I tell him not to touch me. "What if Barbara tries to throw you out?" I say what I need to say, And then I leave on my own terms. I do not run. I do not let her make me run. They practiced for 2 hours. They went through every scenario Jessica could think of. What if Amber cries? What if guests ask questions? What if Barbara claims Michelle is lying? Michelle practiced staying calm and speaking clearly. The power was in the simplicity. Just tell the truth and leave. The next week passed slowly. Michelle continued teaching. She was now almost 6 months pregnant. Her belly was very large because of the quadruplets. She wore the biggest sweaters she owned. She wore loose dresses that hung like tents. At school, people asked if she was feeling okay. Michelle said she was eating a lot because of stress from the separation. Her principal looked concerned but did not push for more information. Michelle had another ultrasound appointment with Dr. Chen. All 4 babies were healthy. They were growing perfectly. Dr. Chen measured each one. Baby A was the biggest. Baby D was the smallest but still within normal range. Dr. Chen listened to each heartbeat. 4 strong, steady heartbeats. Michelle recorded the sound on her phone. She listened to it at night before bed. Her babies were real and alive and counting on her. Marcus called on Tuesday evening. Michelle almost did not answer, but she decided to pick up one last time. "Hi," Marcus said. "I just wanted to check in." "I am fine," Michelle said. "Good. Work has been busy. Really busy." "Okay." There was a long silence. Michelle waited to see if Marcus would ask anything real, anything that showed he cared about her life. "I should probably go," Marcus said. "I will talk to you next week." "Okay," Michelle said. She hung up. That was the last time they would speak before Saturday. Marcus had no idea what was coming. He could have asked how she was really doing. He could have asked if anything was new in her life. He could have asked 1,000 questions, but he asked nothing, so he would learn everything the hard way. On Friday, Patricia called Michelle at lunchtime. "The papers are filed," Patricia said. "The process server has Marcus's office address. He will be there between 9 and 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Everything is set." "Thank you, Patricia. Call me after. I want to hear how it goes." "I will." Michelle hung up and sat in the empty teacher's lounge. Her hands were shaking. Tomorrow was the day. Tomorrow she would stop hiding. Tomorrow everyone would know the truth. That evening Michelle tried on the blue dress again. It still fit perfectly. She looked at herself in the full-length mirror in her bedroom. Her belly was round and prominent. The dress showed every curve. There was no way to miss it. Michelle looked unmistakably pregnant. She practiced walking in her new shoes. She practiced what she would say. She stood in front of the mirror and spoke out loud. "Hello, Barbara. Thank you for the invitation. I apologize for being late. Carrying quadruplets makes everything slower." She said it 5 times until her voice did not shake, until she sounded calm and strong. Michelle went to bed early, but she could not sleep. She lay in the dark, touching her belly. The babies moved inside her, little flutters and kicks. They were active tonight. Maybe they could feel her nervous energy. "Tomorrow you meet your father," Michelle whispered. "He does not know about you yet, but he will soon. And he is going to be very surprised." Michelle finally fell asleep around midnight. She woke up at 7 o'clock on Saturday morning. The baby shower was 7 hours away. Michelle took a long shower. She washed her hair and dried it carefully. She put on light makeup. She looked at herself in the mirror. She looked tired, but determined. Jessica called at 9:30. "How are you feeling?" "Nervous." "That is normal. You are about to do something very brave. Or very stupid." "No, brave. Definitely brave. Do you want me to come over?" "Not yet. Come at noon. We can drive to West Lynn together." "Okay, I will be there at noon." "Michelle?" "Yes?" "I am proud of you." Michelle felt tears in her eyes. "Thank you." At 10:15, Michelle's phone buzzed. It was a text from Patricia. "Process server just confirmed. Papers delivered to Marcus Thompson at 9:52 this morning. He signed for them. It is done." Michelle read the text 3 times. Marcus had the papers. He knew about the babies. He knew about the divorce. He was reading those papers right now. Michelle wondered what his face looked like. Was he shocked? Angry? Scared? All of those things? Michelle put her phone down. She made herself eat breakfast even though she was not hungry. She needed to eat for the babies. She had toast and eggs and orange juice. She sat at her small kitchen table and looked at the blue dress hanging on her closet door. In a few hours, she would put on that dress and drive to Barbara's house. Michelle spent the rest of the morning getting ready slowly. She did not want to rush. She wanted to be calm. At 11:30, she put on the blue dress. She zipped it up and looked at herself one final time. She looked like a pregnant woman, a very pregnant woman. She looked strong and healthy. She looked like someone who had been through difficulty and survived. Jessica arrived at exactly noon. She was wearing a black dress and carrying her purse. She looked at Michelle and smiled. "You look perfect," Jessica said. "I look nervous." "You look perfect and a little nervous. That is allowed. Are you ready?" Michelle picked up her purse. Inside were copies of the divorce papers and the ultrasound photos showing 4 babies. She had everything she needed. "I am ready," Michelle said. Jessica drove. They took the highway south toward West Lynn. It was a cold November day. The sky was gray with clouds. They did not talk much during the drive. Jessica played quiet music on the radio. Michelle looked out the window and watched the city pass by. They arrived at Barbara's house at 2:55. The house was large with a perfect lawn and a circular driveway. Pink and blue balloons were tied to the mailbox and front door. Several cars were already parked on the street. The party had started. Jessica parked on the street 3 houses down. She turned off the car and looked at Michelle. "Last chance to change your mind," Jessica said. "I am not changing my mind." "Okay, I will wait here. If you need me, call me. I can be inside in 30 seconds. I need to do this alone." "I know, but I am here if you need me." Michelle opened the car door. She got out slowly. Her belly made moving awkward. She closed the door and stood on the sidewalk. She could hear music and voices coming from Barbara's house. She could see people moving around inside through the windows. Michelle walked slowly up the driveway. Her heart pounded in her chest. She reached the front door and took 3 deep breaths. Then she rang the doorbell. She heard footsteps inside. The door opened. Barbara stood there with a big smile on her face. The smile disappeared instantly when she saw Michelle. Barbara's face went completely white. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. She stared at Michelle's belly. "Hello, Barbara," Michelle said calmly. "Thank you for the invitation. I apologize for being late." Michelle walked past Barbara into the house before Barbara could react. Michelle stepped into the living room. The room was full of people. She counted about 30 guests standing around holding small plates of food and drinks. Pink and blue decorations hung from the ceiling. A table near the fireplace was covered with wrapped gifts. A young woman sat in a special chair by the window. She wore a white dress. Her belly showed her pregnancy clearly. She had blonde hair and looked very young. This was Amber, the woman Marcus chose. Michelle stood in the doorway between the entrance hall and the living room. Someone saw her first. A woman holding a glass of wine. The woman's eyes went to Michelle's belly and her mouth fell open. She touched the arm of the person next to her. That person looked. Then another person looked. Within seconds, every conversation in the room stopped. 30 people turned and stared at Michelle. More specifically, they stared at her pregnant belly. The belly that was very large and very obvious in the blue dress. The room went completely silent. Even the music seemed quieter. Michelle walked into the center of the room. She moved slowly because her belly made quick movement difficult. She looked around calmly. She saw Barbara still standing by the front door with her hand on her chest. She saw Amber sitting in her chair with her mouth open. She saw Marcus in the corner by the bookshelf. Marcus held a beer bottle. He was wearing khaki pants and a blue button-down shirt. He looked exactly like he always looked. except his face was white. He stared at Michelle's belly like he was seeing something impossible. Michelle spoke first. Her voice was calm and clear. "I apologize for being late. My doctor says carrying quadruplets makes you tired. Everything takes longer than it used to." A woman near the fireplace gasped. Someone else dropped their plate. It clattered on the hardwood floor but did not break. Amber made a small sound like a whimper. Marcus put his beer bottle down on a bookshelf. His hand was shaking so much the bottle wobbled. He walked toward Michelle. His legs moved stiffly. He looked like he was in shock. "Michelle?" he said. His voice cracked. Are you pregnant?" "Yes, Marcus, I am pregnant." "Is the baby mine?" Michelle looked directly into his eyes. "All 4 babies are mine, and yes, they are yours too." The room erupted in whispers. People leaned toward each other and spoke in low voices. An older man near the gift table said, "4 babies?" loud enough for everyone to hear. Marcus reached out toward Michelle's belly but stopped himself. "4? You are having 4 babies?" "Quadruplets, yes." "How long have you been pregnant?" "Almost 7 months." Marcus did the math in his head. "But that means you were pregnant when I left?" "No, I got pregnant right before you left. I had the embryo transfer in May. You remember the sample you gave me for storage at the clinic? They used it for the procedure. I found out I was pregnant 2 weeks after you moved out." "Why didn't you tell me?" Michelle stayed calm. She spoke clearly. "You moved out, Marcus. You said you needed space. You started seeing someone else. You called once a week and asked how I was. I said fine. You said good. You never asked any other questions. You never asked if anything was new in my life. You never asked if I was okay. You just asked the bare minimum and then hung up." Marcus shook his head. He looked confused. "But this is huge. This is 4 babies. You should have told me." "Maybe, but I wanted to see if you would come back on your own. I wanted to see if you would choose me without knowing about the babies. You did not choose me. You chose her." Michelle looked at Amber in her chair. Amber started crying. Tears ran down her face. She put her hand over her mouth. Barbara finally found her voice. She walked into the living room. "This is impossible. You are lying. Marcus would have told me if you were pregnant." Michelle turned to face Barbara. "Marcus did not know. I did not tell him. And I did not tell him because of you, Barbara." "What are you talking about?" "You sent me this invitation knowing I struggled with fertility. You wanted me to come here and watch another woman celebrate carrying Marcus's baby. You wanted me to see that I failed where she succeeded. You wanted to hurt me one final time. You have been cruel to me for 5 years. Every Sunday dinner, every holiday, every family gathering. You told me I was not good enough. You told me some women are not meant to be mothers. You blamed me for something I could not control." Barbara's face turned red. "I never said—" "Yes, you did. You said it many times." And Marcus sat there and said nothing. He never defended me. He just looked at his phone and let you attack me. Michelle pulled papers from her purse. She held them up. "These are divorce papers that my lawyer filed yesterday. Marcus was served this morning at his office. I am seeking full custody of the quadruplets. I am requesting maximum child support. 4 children cost money. Marcus helped make them. He will help pay for them." Marcus stared at the papers. "You filed for divorce?" "Yes. Without talking to me?" "You left without talking to me. You started an affair without talking to me. I am just returning the same courtesy." An older woman near the couch spoke up. "Barbara, did you really send her an invitation to this party?" Barbara ignored the question. She pointed at Michelle. "You cannot keep those babies from me. I am their grandmother. I have rights." Michelle looked at Barbara with cold eyes. "You have no rights. I have full custody. I decide who sees my children, and you will never see them. Not because I am cruel, but because cruelty has consequences. You cannot do that." "Yes, I can. You spent 5 years making me feel worthless. You blamed me for my fertility issues. You threw this party to humiliate me. You invited me here to parade Marcus's pregnant girlfriend in front of me. You wanted me to feel broken and small, but I am not broken, Barbara. I am pregnant with 4 healthy babies, your grandchildren, and you will never meet them." Barbara made a sound like a wounded animal. Several guests looked at her with disgust. A woman near the door said, "Barbara, that is awful," in a shocked voice. Michelle turned back to Marcus. "I was going to tell you about the babies. I had a special dinner planned. I was going to cook your favorite meal and surprise you with the ultrasound photos. But then you left. And then your mother sent me that invitation. So you get to find out this way instead." Marcus reached for Michelle's hand. "Michelle, please. We can talk about this. We can figure this out." Michelle stepped back. "Do not touch me." "But those are my babies." "Yes. And you abandoned them before they were born. You left their mother. You started an affair. You never checked on me. You never asked real questions. You just called once a week and asked if I was fine." "Well, I am fine now. I am better than fine. I am having 4 beautiful babies and raising them without you." Amber stood up from her chair. She was crying hard now. She ran across the room toward the hallway. Several women followed her. Michelle heard a bathroom door slam. Marcus looked at the floor. "I did not know. I swear I did not know. I know you did not know. That is the problem. You did not care enough to ask. You were too busy with your new girlfriend." Marcus looked up. "Amber is pregnant too. She is having my baby." "I know. That is why we are all here. But Marcus, I got pregnant first. These babies were conceived during our marriage, while you were still living with me, while you were still my husband. You are going to have 5 children, 4 with me and 1 with her. Can you handle that?" Marcus's face went pale. 5 children. Michelle could see him processing the reality. 5 children meant a lot of child support, a lot of responsibility, a lot of everything. Barbara spoke again. Her voice was shrill. "Everyone needs to calm down. We can discuss this like adults. Michelle, there is no reason to keep the children from their family. We can work something out." "No, we cannot. I gave you 5 years to treat me with basic kindness. You chose cruelty instead. Now you lose everything." Michelle turned and walked toward the front door. She moved slowly and carefully. Her belly made her walk differently, but she kept her head up. She did not run. She did not cry. She just walked. Marcus followed her. "Michelle, wait. Please wait. We need to talk about this." Michelle reached the front door. She turned to face Marcus one final time. "There is nothing to talk about. You made your choices. I am making mine. Your lawyer can contact my lawyer. Her name is Patricia Hoffman. She is very good at her job." "Michelle..." "Goodbye, Marcus." Michelle opened the front door and walked out. She heard voices behind her. Barbara was yelling something. Someone else was crying. But Michelle did not look back. She walked down the driveway toward the street. Jessica was standing by the car. She must have gotten worried and come out to wait. When she saw Michelle, she ran forward. "Are you okay?" Jessica asked. "I am perfect," Michelle said. And she meant it. She felt lighter than she had felt in years. The secret was out. The truth was told. Everyone knew now. Michelle got into the car. Jessica drove away. Michelle looked in the side mirror. She could see Barbara's house getting smaller. She could see people standing on the front lawn looking toward their car. She could see Marcus standing in the driveway with his hands in his hair. "How do you feel?" Jessica asked. "Free," Michelle said. "I feel completely free." They drove back to Portland in comfortable silence. When they got to Michelle's apartment, Jessica came inside. They sat on the couch together. Michelle took off her shoes. Her feet were swollen. "You were amazing," Jessica said. "You were so calm and strong. I am so proud of you." "I just told the truth. That is all I did." "You did more than that. You stood up for yourself. You stood up for your babies. You showed Barbara and Marcus that they cannot treat people badly without consequences." Michelle put her hand on her belly. The babies were moving. They were active after all the excitement. "I did what I had to do." Michelle's phone rang. It was Marcus. Michelle declined the call. He called again. She declined again. He called 5 more times. Michelle turned off her phone. "He is going to keep calling," Jessica said. "Let him call. I do not want to talk to him. Not today. Maybe not ever." Jessica stayed for another hour. Then she went home. Michelle changed into comfortable clothes and made herself dinner. She ate soup and bread at her small kitchen table. She felt exhausted but also energized. She did it. She really did it. That night, Michelle lay in bed touching her belly. The babies moved under her hands. 4 little lives depending on her. "Your father knows about you now," Michelle whispered. "Everyone knows. No more hiding. No more secrets. Tomorrow we start our real life together." Michelle closed her eyes and fell asleep. For the first time in months, she slept peacefully through the entire night. Michelle woke up on Sunday morning feeling different. She opened her eyes and saw sunlight coming through her bedroom window. She looked at the clock. It was 9:30. She had slept for 10 hours straight. She could not remember the last time she slept that long. Michelle got out of bed and went to the bathroom. She looked at herself in the mirror. Her face looked less tired. Her eyes were clearer. She touched her belly and felt the babies moving. They were awake too. Michelle made breakfast, scrambled eggs and toast. She was very hungry. She sat at her kitchen table and ate slowly. She thought about yesterday, walking into Barbara's house, seeing everyone's faces, telling Marcus the truth, walking out. She did not regret any of it. Michelle turned her phone back on. Immediately it started buzzing. 15 missed calls from Marcus, 8 missed calls from Barbara, 23 text messages. Michelle did not read any of them. She deleted the voicemails without listening. She blocked Barbara's number. She kept Marcus's number unblocked in case there was a real emergency. But she did not plan to answer his calls. The phone rang again. Marcus. Michelle let it ring until it went to voicemail. 2 minutes later, he called again. Michelle turned off the ringer and put the phone face down on the table. Jessica called at noon. Michelle answered. "How are you feeling today?" Jessica asked. "Good. Really good, actually. I was worried you would wake up feeling guilty or sad." "I do not feel guilty at all. I feel relieved. The secret is out. I can stop hiding now." "Have Marcus or Barbara tried to contact you?" "Marcus called 15 times. Barbara called 8 times. I am not answering either of them." "Good. Let them sit with what happened. They deserve to sit with it." Michelle and Jessica talked for another 20 minutes. Then Michelle spent the rest of Sunday relaxing. She watched television and read a book. She took a nap in the afternoon. She was 7 months pregnant with quadruplets. She needed rest. On Monday morning, Michelle went back to work. She was still wearing large sweaters to hide her belly. Only Jessica knew what happened at the baby shower. Michelle was not ready to tell everyone at school yet. She wanted a few more weeks of privacy before making a public announcement. Her students were working on a math worksheet when her phone vibrated in her desk drawer. Michelle ignored it. It vibrated again during reading time, and again during lunch. When Michelle checked her phone in the teacher's lounge, she had 12 missed calls from Marcus. "He is not giving up," Jessica said. She was eating a salad across the table. "He will give up eventually. What is he going to say? Sorry I abandoned you and had an affair, but now that I know about the babies I want to be involved? Too late. Do you think he will fight for custody? Patricia says he can try, but he left. He had an affair. He showed no interest in the fertility treatments. A judge will see all of that." Michelle's phone rang again. Marcus. Michelle declined the call. That evening, Michelle was making dinner when her apartment buzzer rang. She pressed the intercom button. "Yes? Michelle, it is Marcus. Please let me come up. We need to talk." Michelle took her finger off the button without answering. The buzzer rang again, and again. Michelle ignored it. She looked out her window. She could see Marcus standing outside the building entrance. He was wearing jeans and a jacket. He looked up at her window and saw her. He waved his arms. Michelle closed the curtain. She went back to making dinner. The buzzer rang 5 more times. Then it stopped. Michelle looked out the window again. Marcus was still standing there. He had his phone pressed to his ear. Michelle's phone rang. She did not answer. Marcus stood outside for 2 hours. Michelle watched him from behind the curtain. He paced back and forth. He sat on the front steps. He called her phone over and over. Finally, at 8 o'clock, he left. At work on Tuesday, people were talking. Michelle heard 2 teachers discussing something in the hallway during morning break. They stopped talking when Michelle walked by. Michelle wondered if someone from the baby shower knew someone who worked at her school. Portland was not that big. Word traveled fast. Michelle's principal, Mrs. Anderson, called her into the office during lunch. Michelle sat across from Mrs. Anderson's desk. "Michelle, I heard something concerning," Mrs. Anderson said. "Is it true you are pregnant?" Michelle took a deep breath. "Yes, I am almost 7 months pregnant." Mrs. Anderson's eyes widened. 7 months? Michelle, why did you not tell us? We could have been accommodating your needs. I was not ready to share. My personal life has been complicated. My husband and I separated. I wanted to keep the pregnancy private. I understand. But Michelle, you need to think about maternity leave. 7 months means you only have 2 months left. We need to find a substitute teacher. We need to plan. I know. I am sorry. I will give you all the information you need this week. Mrs. Anderson softened. Are you okay? Do you need any help? I am okay. I have support. My family and friends are helping me. Good. That is good. Take care of yourself, Michelle. You and your baby are what matters. Michelle almost told Mrs. Anderson about the quadruplets, but she stopped herself, 1 step at a time. First, let people know she was pregnant. Later, she would tell them about the 4 babies. That night, Michelle got a call from an unknown number. She almost did not answer, but something made her pick up. Hello? Is this Michelle Thompson? A woman's voice. Yes, who is this? This is Amber Collins. Please do not hang up. Michelle almost hung up anyway, but curiosity stopped her. What do you want, Amber? I want to apologize. I did not know. Marcus told me his marriage was over. He said you were separated and getting divorced. He never told me you were pregnant. He never told me about the fertility treatments. I feel like such an idiot. Michelle sat down on her couch. You are calling me to apologize? Yes. What happened at the baby shower was horrible. I was sitting in that chair feeling so special. Then you walked in and I realized I was the other woman. I helped Marcus cheat on his pregnant wife. I feel sick about it. You did not know. But I should have asked more questions. I should have been smarter. Marcus told me what I wanted to hear and I believed him because it was easier. Michelle did not know what to say. She did not expect this call. She did not expect Amber to sound genuinely sorry. I am moving to Seattle, Amber continued. I am going to live with my sister. I am breaking up with Marcus. I do not want him in my life. I do not want him around my baby. Does he know? I told him today. He tried to convince me to stay, but I am done. He lied to me. He used me. He got me pregnant while his wife was pregnant with 4 of his babies. That is disgusting. Yes, it is. I am sorry, Michelle. I know that does not fix anything, but I am sorry. Amber hung up. Michelle sat holding the phone. Amber was leaving. She was taking her baby and moving away. Marcus would have no relationship with that child either. The next day, Michelle heard from someone who knew someone at Marcus's office. Apparently, people at work found out about the baby shower. The story spread through the entire company. Marcus got his wife pregnant with quadruplets through IVF, then abandoned her and started an affair with the young receptionist. Now, both women were pregnant. People at work looked at Marcus differently. Some stopped talking to him. Others made comments. His boss called him into a meeting about maintaining professional behavior. Barbara tried a different approach. On Thursday, a flower delivery arrived at Michelle's apartment. 24 roses with a card. Please let us talk. You are carrying my grandchildren. Barbara. Michelle refused the delivery. She told the delivery person to take the flowers back. On Friday, a large box arrived. Baby gifts, expensive ones, a designer diaper bag, luxury baby blankets, organic baby clothes. Michelle returned everything to sender without opening the boxes. On Saturday, Barbara's letters started arriving. Long, handwritten letters on expensive stationery. Michelle threw them in the trash without reading them. 1 letter, 2 letters, 3 letters. All went straight into the garbage. Michelle talked to Patricia on the phone. Marcus's lawyer called, Patricia said. Marcus wants to discuss custody arrangements. He wants to negotiate. What does that mean? It means he wants partial custody instead of supervised visitation. He wants to be involved in the children's lives. What do I say? You say no. He abandoned you. He had an affair. He gets supervised visitation for 2 hours per week. That is generous, considering his behavior. Will a judge agree with that? Based on the evidence we have? Yes. A judge will see that Marcus made choices that hurt his family. Choices have consequences. Okay. Tell his lawyer no negotiation. Full custody for me. Supervised visitation for Marcus. I will tell them. Michelle, be prepared. This might get ugly. Marcus is realizing what he is losing. He might fight. Let him fight. I am not backing down. On Monday morning, Michelle was teaching her class when the school secretary called her classroom phone. Michelle answered, Ms. Thompson, there is someone here to see you. He says he is your husband. Michelle felt her stomach drop. Tell him I am teaching. Tell him to leave. I did. He is refusing. He says it is an emergency. It is not an emergency. Call security. Michelle hung up. She continued teaching her lesson on fractions, but her hands were shaking. Marcus came to her school. He would not leave her alone. 20 minutes later, Mrs. Anderson came to Michelle's classroom. She knocked on the door and gestured for Michelle to come into the hallway. Michelle, your husband is in the parking lot. Security asked him to leave. He left, but he is waiting by his car. Do you want me to call the police? No, I will handle it. Can you watch my class for 5 minutes? Of course. Michelle walked to the parking lot. She saw Marcus standing by a silver sedan. When he saw Michelle, he walked toward her. Michelle held up her hand. Stop. Do not come closer. Marcus stopped walking. Michelle, please. I just want to talk. You came to my workplace. You disrupted my teaching. You need to leave. I have been trying to reach you for a week. You will not answer your phone. You will not let me come to your apartment. What am I supposed to do? You are supposed to leave me alone. You are supposed to talk to your lawyer and let them talk to my lawyer. That is how this works now. These are my children too, Michelle. I have a right to be involved. You gave up that right when you left, when you had an affair, when you chose someone else. I made mistakes. I know that, but I want to fix it. I want to be there for our babies. Our babies? These are my babies. I am carrying them. I am the one who gets up every night when they kick. I am the one who goes to doctor appointments. I am the one who will give birth to them and raise them. You are just the person who provided genetic material. Marcus looked like Michelle had hit him. That is not fair. Fair? You want to talk about fair? You left me when I needed you most. You had an affair while I was pregnant. You never once asked how I was really doing. And now you want me to think you care? No, Marcus. You do not get to come back and play father because you feel guilty. I do not feel guilty. I feel like I was kept in the dark. You should have told me. You should have asked. You should have cared enough to notice. But you did not. So now you know. And now you have to live with missing the first 7 months of your children's lives. Michelle turned and walked back into the school building. Marcus called her name, but she did not turn around. She went to her classroom and finished her teaching day. Her students asked if she was okay. Michelle said she was fine. That night, Patricia called with an update. Marcus's lawyer is pushing for shared custody. They are claiming Marcus has rights as the father. They say keeping him from the children is unfair. What do? We present our evidence, his abandonment, his affair, his complete lack of interest in the pregnancy until he found out about it from divorce papers. We show the judge that Marcus is not a stable parent figure. When is the custody hearing? We are looking at January or February, after the babies are born. I will be taking care of 4 newborns during a custody battle? Yes, I am sorry. But we will win. I promise you, we will win. Michelle hung up and sat on her couch. She was tired. The babies were getting bigger and moving constantly. She felt pressure on her bladder and her ribs. Dr. Chen said the babies were healthy, but Michelle needed to rest more. She was in her 8th month now. Any day now, Dr. Chen would put her on bed rest. 3 weeks passed. Michelle stopped working. She went on maternity leave early. Her belly was enormous. She could barely walk. She spent most of her time on the couch or in bed. Jessica visited every day. Michelle's mother came to visit for a week. Everything was ready. The nursery was set up with 4 cribs. Diapers and bottles filled the closets. Michelle just had to wait for the babies to come. Then at 3 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday in early December, Michelle woke up with a sharp pain in her belly. She sat up in bed. Another pain came. This was not normal movement. These were contractions. Michelle reached for her phone and called Jessica. "Hello?" Jessica answered in a sleepy voice. "It is time," Michelle said. "The babies are coming. I need you to drive me to the hospital." Jessica arrived at Michelle's apartment 20 minutes later. She had thrown a coat over her pajamas. Her hair was messy. She helped Michelle get dressed and packed Michelle's hospital bag into the car. "How far apart are the contractions?" Jessica asked as they drove through the dark Portland streets. "About 10 minutes apart, sometimes 8 minutes. We have time. Just breathe. You are going to be okay." Michelle breathed through another contraction. The pain was strong but manageable. She was scared and excited at the same time. She was about to meet her babies. After 8 months of carrying them, she would finally see their faces. They arrived at Oregon Health and Science University Hospital at 3:45 in the morning. Jessica parked near the emergency entrance. She helped Michelle out of the car and into a wheelchair. A nurse took them up to the maternity floor. Dr. Sarah Chen was already there waiting. She had been called when Michelle checked in. Dr. Chen examined Michelle in a private room. "You are 4 centimeters dilated," Dr. Chen said. "The babies are coming today. This is happening." "How long will it take?" Michelle asked. "With quadruplets, we cannot predict exactly. Could be a few hours, could be longer. We will monitor you and the babies closely." "You are doing great, Michelle." The nurses set Michelle up in a delivery room. They put monitors on her belly to track each baby's heartbeat. 4 different steady beeps filled the room. Jessica sat in a chair beside the bed, holding Michelle's hand. "Did you call your parents?" Jessica asked. "Not yet. Let me get through a few more contractions first." But Jessica took Michelle's phone and called anyway. Michelle's mother answered on the 3rd ring. "Hello? Jessica? Is everything okay?" "Michelle is in labor. The babies are coming. You should get on a plane." Michelle heard her mother's voice get high and excited. There was scrambling in the background, her father's voice asking questions. Jessica gave them the hospital information and hung up. "They will be on the first flight from Sacramento," Jessica said. "Your mom said they will be here by this afternoon." Michelle had another contraction. This one was stronger. She gripped Jessica's hand and breathed through it. When it passed, she felt exhausted. The labor continued for hours. The contractions got closer together and more painful. Michelle did not want an epidural at first. She wanted to feel everything. But by hour 6, the pain was too much. Dr. Chen ordered the epidural. After that, Michelle could still feel pressure but not the sharp pain. Jessica never left Michelle's side. She gave Michelle ice chips when her mouth was dry. She wiped Michelle's forehead with a cool cloth. She told Michelle she was strong and brave. Michelle did not feel strong or brave. She felt tired and scared. But having Jessica there made everything better. At 1:15 in the afternoon, Dr. Chen checked Michelle again. You are fully dilated. It is time to push." The room filled with people, Dr. Chen and 3 other doctors, 5 nurses, equipment for 4 babies. Everything happened fast. Michelle pushed when they told her to push. She breathed when they told her to breathe. Jessica counted for her. Jessica squeezed her hand. At 1:43, the first baby was born. A boy. He came out crying. The sound filled the room. A nurse cleaned him quickly and placed him on Michelle's chest for 10 seconds. Then they took him to check his vital signs. Michelle barely saw him. She was already pushing for the second baby. At 1:45, a girl was born. Smaller than the first baby, but crying just as loud. Michelle saw dark hair on her tiny head. They let Michelle touch her for a moment before taking her for examination. At 1:47, another boy was born. He did not cry right away. Michelle's heart stopped. But then a nurse rubbed his back and he let out a small wail. Michelle started crying with relief. At 1:49, the last baby was born. Another girl. She was the smallest of the 4. Dr. Chen said she weighed just under 4 pounds, but her lungs were strong. She cried and cried. 4 babies, 2 boys and 2 girls, all born within 6 minutes. Michelle lay back on the bed, exhausted and crying. She had done it. She brought 4 lives into the world. "They all need to go to the NICU for monitoring," Dr. Chen said. "This is standard for multiples born at 34 weeks, but they all look healthy and strong. You did an amazing job, Michelle." The nurses wheeled 4 small clear cribs past Michelle. She saw tiny bodies and tiny hands. Her babies. Her 4 perfect babies. "What are their names?" a nurse asked. Michelle had been thinking about names for months. "The first boy is Jacob. The first girl is Emma. The second boy is Noah. The second girl is Olivia." The nurse wrote the names on tags and attached them to each crib. Jacob, Emma, Noah, and Olivia Thompson. Beautiful names. They took the babies away. Michelle wanted to go with them, but she needed to rest. The nurses cleaned her up and moved her to a recovery room. Jessica stayed while Michelle slept for 2 hours. When Michelle woke up, her parents were there. Her mother was crying happy tears. Her father looked amazed. They hugged Michelle carefully. 4 grandchildren in 1 day, her father said. "We are blessed." Michelle asked to see the babies. A nurse took her in a wheelchair to the NICU. Michelle's parents and Jessica followed. The NICU was quiet except for the beeping of monitors. The 4 cribs were lined up in a row. Michelle looked at each baby. Jacob was the biggest. He had dark hair and long fingers. Emma had lighter hair and her eyes were closed tight. Noah was sleeping peacefully. Olivia was the tiniest, but she was moving her little legs constantly. Michelle reached through the opening in Jacob's incubator and touched his hand. His tiny fingers wrapped around her finger. Michelle's heart felt so full it could burst. "I am your mother," Michelle whispered. "I fought for you. I carried you. I will protect you always." A nurse approached Michelle. "Mrs. Thompson, there is someone here who wants to see the babies. Marcus Thompson says he is the father. He is at the NICU entrance. Do you want us to let him in?" Michelle's happiness turned cold. Marcus. He found out somehow that she was in labor. He came to the hospital. "No," Michelle said firmly. "He is not allowed to see them. He is not allowed in my room. He is not allowed anywhere near me or my babies." "Are you sure? He seems very upset." "I am completely sure. Please have security escort him out of the building." The nurse nodded and walked away. Michelle's father looked at her with concern. "Michelle, are you certain about this?" "Yes, Dad. Marcus left me. He made his choices. He does not get to walk back in just because the babies are born." Michelle stayed at the hospital for 3 days. The babies stayed in the NICU for 1 week. Michelle visited them every 2 hours. She learned to feed them bottles through the incubator openings. She learned to change their tiny diapers. She learned which cry meant hungry and which meant tired. Marcus tried to visit again on day 2. Hospital security stopped him at the entrance. Michelle had signed papers restricting his access. Marcus called her phone 20 times that day. Michelle blocked his number. On day 4, Michelle received papers from Marcus's lawyer. He was filing an emergency petition for visitation rights. He claimed Michelle was illegally keeping him from his children. Patricia Hoffman called Michelle that evening. "Do not worry about his petition," Patricia said. "We will fight it. The babies are in the NICU. They need stability and calm. Marcus abandoned you during your pregnancy. A judge will see that." On day 7, the doctors cleared all 4 babies to go home. They were small but healthy. Jacob weighed 5 pounds 3 ounces. Emma weighed 4 pounds 15 ounces. Noah weighed 5 pounds even. Olivia weighed 4 pounds 12 ounces. All 4 were eating well and gaining weight. Michelle's parents had moved Michelle's things to a larger 2-bedroom apartment in northeast Portland while she was in the hospital. Jessica and Michelle's mother had set up 4 cribs in the 2nd bedroom. They had organized all the baby supplies. Everything was ready. 2 nurses helped Michelle load the babies into 4 car seats. Michelle's father drove. Her mother sat in the back between 2 car seats. Michelle sat in the front passenger seat, twisted around to watch the babies. Jessica followed in her own car. They drove slowly and carefully through Portland. The new apartment was on the ground floor with a small patio. Michelle walked in holding Jacob. Her mother carried Emma. Jessica carried Noah. Michelle's father carried Olivia. They placed each baby in their crib. All 4 babies were sleeping. Michelle stood in the nursery looking at her 4 children. This was her life now. She was a mother of 4. That first night was hard. The babies woke up every 2 hours needing to eat. Michelle and her mother took turns feeding them. By morning, Michelle had slept maybe 3 hours total. But when she looked at her babies, the exhaustion did not matter. Days turned into weeks. Michelle fell into a routine. Feed the babies every 3 hours, change diapers constantly, sleep whenever the babies slept. Her mother stayed to help. Jessica visited 3 times a week. Michelle's father went back to California to handle his job but came back on weekends. Marcus kept trying. He sent gifts that Michelle returned. He sent letters that Michelle threw away. He tried to come to the apartment but Michelle did not let him in. His lawyer sent more papers demanding visitation. Patricia responded with evidence of his abandonment and affair. 1 month after the babies were born, Michelle received notice of a custody hearing. The hearing was scheduled for February 14th, Valentine's Day. Michelle found that darkly funny. Barbara tried everything to reach Michelle. She sent more flowers, more gifts, more letters. She called from different phone numbers that Michelle did not recognize. When Michelle answered one by accident, Barbara begged to see the grandchildren. Michelle hung up. 2 months after the babies were born, Michelle sat in her living room surrounded by baby equipment. 4 bouncy seats, 4 play mats, 4 of everything. Jacob was sleeping. Emma was looking at a mobile. Noah was chewing on his hand. Olivia was crying, and Michelle was rocking her. This was Michelle's life. It was exhausting. It was overwhelming. But it was also beautiful. She had 4 healthy babies. She had support from people who loved her. She had strength she did not know she possessed. The custody hearing was in 2 weeks. Patricia said they had a strong case. Marcus abandoned Michelle during her pregnancy. He had an affair. He showed no interest until after the babies were born. The judge would see all of this. Michelle looked at her 4 babies. "Your father wants to see you," she told them quietly. "A judge will decide if he can. But no matter what happens, you will always have me. I will always fight for you." Olivia stopped crying. She looked at Michelle with her big eyes. 2 weeks until the hearing. 2 weeks until a judge decided Marcus's role in their lives. Michelle felt nervous but also ready. She had come this far. She would see it through to the end. Michelle dressed carefully on the morning of February 14th. She wore a navy blue dress and low heels. Her mother stayed home with the babies. Jessica took the day off work to come to the courthouse. Patricia Hoffman met them outside the Multnomah County Courthouse at 8:30 in the morning. "How are you feeling?" Patricia asked. "Nervous," Michelle said honestly. "That is normal. But we have everything we need. His abandonment, his affair, the medical records showing he never attended fertility appointments, the phone records showing he barely called you. The judge will see all of it." They walked into the courthouse together. Michelle went through security. They took the elevator to the third floor. The courtroom was at the end of a long hallway. Michelle's hands were shaking. Marcus was already there. He sat on a bench outside the courtroom with his lawyer. He wore a dark suit and looked nervous. When he saw Michelle, he stood up. Michelle looked away. "Do not talk to him," Patricia whispered. "Let me handle everything." They waited for 20 minutes. Then a clerk opened the courtroom doors and called their case. Everyone filed inside. The courtroom had wooden benches and high ceilings. The judge's bench was at the front. Michelle sat at a table with Patricia. Marcus sat at another table with his lawyer. Michelle looked behind her. Barbara was sitting in the back row of the courtroom. She wore a cream-colored suit and pearls. Her face was tight and pale. When Barbara saw Michelle looking, she tried to smile. Michelle turned back around. The judge entered. Everyone stood. The judge was a woman in her 60s with gray hair and glasses. Her nameplate said, "Judge Linda Morrison." She sat down and opened a thick file. "Please be seated," Judge Morrison said. "I have reviewed all the materials submitted by both parties. This is a custody hearing regarding 4 minor children born to Michelle Thompson and Marcus Thompson. The children are Jacob, Emma, Noah, and Olivia Thompson, currently 3 months old. Mrs. Thompson is seeking full physical custody with supervised visitation for Mr. Thompson. Mr. Thompson is requesting shared custody. Is that correct?" Both lawyers confirmed it was correct. Judge Morrison looked at Marcus. "Mr. Thompson, I need to understand your position. According to the evidence submitted, you left the marital home in June of last year. Is that correct?" Marcus's lawyer answered, "Your Honor, my client left the home because the marriage was troubled. He needed space to evaluate the relationship." "That is not what I asked. Did Mr. Thompson leave the home in June?" "Yes, Your Honor." "And did Mr. Thompson begin a relationship with another woman shortly after leaving?" Marcus's lawyer hesitated. "My client began seeing someone, yes, but the marriage was effectively over." "The marriage was not legally over. You were still married." Judge Morrison looked at Marcus directly. "Mr. Thompson, were you aware your wife was undergoing fertility treatments?" Marcus spoke for the first time. "Yes, Your Honor, but I did not know she went through with the embryo transfer." "Did you ask?" No, Your Honor." "You left your wife during fertility treatments. You started a relationship with another woman. You never asked if the treatments resulted in pregnancy. Is that accurate?" "I thought she would tell me if something important happened." Judge Morrison looked at the file. "According to phone records, you called your wife approximately once per week after leaving. The calls averaged 3 minutes. You asked if she was fine. She said yes. You said goodbye. You never asked follow-up questions. Does that sound accurate?" Marcus shifted in his chair. "I was giving her space." "You were giving her space while you dated another woman who also became pregnant?" Marcus's lawyer stood. "Your Honor, my client made mistakes, but he wants to be involved in his children's lives now. He wants to be a father. He wants to be a father now that the children are born. Where was this desire when his wife was pregnant? When she was attending doctor appointments alone? When she was preparing for quadruplets by herself?" Patricia stood. "Your Honor, if I may, Mrs. Thompson attended every single prenatal appointment alone. She was hospitalized for preterm labor at 32 weeks. She was on bed rest for 2 weeks before delivering. Mr. Thompson did not visit. He did not call to check on her. He attempted to visit the hospital after the babies were born, but only after learning about their existence from divorce papers." Judge Morrison reviewed more documents. "I see that Mrs. Thompson filed for divorce in November. Mr. Thompson was served papers the day before a baby shower being held for his pregnant girlfriend. At that baby shower, Mrs. Thompson appeared and revealed her pregnancy to everyone present. Mrs. Thompson, why did you not tell Mr. Thompson about the pregnancy earlier? Michelle stood. Your Honor, I was waiting to see if he would come back on his own. I was waiting to see if he would ask about my life. He never did. He chose someone else. I decided to move forward without him. That must have been difficult, carrying 4 babies alone. It was, but I had support from my family and friends. I did not need him. Judge Morrison closed the file. I am going to take a 15-minute recess. I will return with my decision. The judge left the courtroom. Michelle sat back down. Patricia squeezed her arm. That went well. The judge sees what kind of man Marcus is. Marcus's lawyer was talking to him in low, urgent tones. Marcus had his head in his hands. Barbara came forward from the back row and tried to approach Marcus. A bailiff told her to stay seated. 15 minutes felt like 15 hours. Finally, the judge returned. Everyone stood and then sat again. Judge Morrison put on her glasses and looked at both tables. I have made my decision. Based on the evidence presented, I am granting full physical custody to Michelle Thompson. Mr. Thompson will have supervised visitation rights for 2 hours per week at a court-approved facility. Visitation will be supervised by a professional monitor until the children are old enough to express their own preferences about contact with their father. Marcus's face fell. His lawyer started to speak, but Judge Morrison held up her hand. I am also ordering Mr. Thompson to pay child support in the amount of $3,800 per month. This amount is based on Oregon child support guidelines for 4 minor children and Mr. Thompson's income. Support payments begin immediately and continue until each child reaches 18 years of age or completes high school, whichever is later. Marcus made a sound like he had been punched. $3,800 per month. That was most of his salary. Judge Morrison continued. Regarding Barbara Thompson, grandmother of the children, Mrs. Thompson has filed a motion for grandparent visitation rights. Based on testimony and evidence regarding Mrs. Thompson's treatment of Michelle Thompson during the marriage, I am denying this motion. Barbara Thompson will have no court-ordered visitation rights. Michelle Thompson, as custodial parent, may grant or deny access to the children at her sole discretion. Barbara stood up from her seat. You cannot do that. Those are my grandchildren. Judge Morrison looked at Barbara with cold eyes. Mrs. Thompson, sit down or I will have you removed from this courtroom. Barbara sat down, but she was shaking. Tears ran down her face. This court finds that Barbara Thompson engaged in a pattern of emotional abuse toward Michelle Thompson over a period of 5 years. She used Michelle Thompson's fertility struggles as ammunition for public humiliation. She organized a baby shower for her son's pregnant mistress and deliberately invited Michelle Thompson to inflict emotional harm. This behavior demonstrates a lack of judgment and compassion that makes unsupervised contact with minor children inappropriate. My decision is final unless circumstances change substantially. Judge Morrison banged her gavel. This hearing is concluded. My written order will be filed within 3 business days. The judge left. Michelle sat still for a moment. She won. She got everything she asked for. Full custody, limited supervised visitation for Marcus, no access for Barbara. Her children were protected. Patricia hugged Michelle. Congratulations, you did it. Michelle stood on shaky legs. She looked at Marcus. He was still sitting at his table with his head down. His lawyer was packing papers into a briefcase. Marcus looked broken. Michelle walked out of the courtroom with Patricia and Jessica. Barbara was in the hallway. She rushed toward Michelle. Please, Barbara said. Her makeup was smeared from crying. Please let me see them. I made mistakes, but I can change. They are my grandchildren. I have rights. Michelle looked at Barbara. 5 years of cruel comments. 5 years of judgment and humiliation. An invitation to a baby shower designed to hurt her. All of it rushed back. You had 5 years to treat me with kindness, Michelle said quietly. You chose cruelty. Now you live with the consequences. You will never meet Jacob, Emma, Noah, or Olivia. Never." Michelle walked away. Barbara called after her, but Michelle did not turn around. Jessica and Patricia walked on either side of her. They took the elevator down and walked out into the cold February air. "How do you feel?" Jessica asked. "Free," Michelle said. "Completely free." Patricia left to go back to her office. Jessica drove Michelle home. Michelle's mother was in the living room with all 4 babies. Jacob and Emma were napping. Noah was in a bouncy seat. Olivia was on a playmat reaching for hanging toys. "How did it go?" Michelle's mother asked. "I won. Full custody. He gets 2 hours per week supervised. Barbara gets nothing." Michelle's mother hugged her. "I am so proud of you." Michelle picked up Olivia from the playmat. She held her daughter close. "You are safe," she whispered. "All of you are safe. I protected you." The months passed. Spring turned to summer. The babies grew bigger and stronger. Jacob was the most serious. He watched everything carefully. Emma smiled all the time. Noah was gentle and quiet. Olivia was fearless and climbed everything she could reach. Marcus scheduled 2 supervised visitations at the court facility. He showed up for the first one. He held each baby for a few minutes while a social worker watched. The babies cried because they did not know him. Marcus looked uncomfortable. He did not show up for the second visit. He stopped scheduling visits after that. He sent the child support payments because the court garnished his wages. But he had no relationship with his children. Michelle heard through mutual acquaintances that Amber had her baby in Seattle. A girl. Amber never contacted Marcus. She raised her daughter alone with help from her sister. Marcus had 5 children total but knew none of them. Marcus's life became small. He lost his job at the financial firm 6 months after the custody hearing. The atmosphere at work became too uncomfortable. He found a job at a smaller company for less money. He moved to a cheaper apartment. He paid most of his salary in child support. He lived alone with no friends and no family. Barbara stayed in her large house in West Lynn. She told people at church that Michelle was cruel and unreasonable, but people knew the full story by now. Barbara had been deliberately cruel. She organized a baby shower to humiliate a woman with fertility struggles. Most people at church stopped inviting Barbara to social events. Some stopped speaking to her entirely. Barbara became isolated. She drove past Michelle's apartment sometimes hoping to see the children. She never did. Michelle went back to work when the babies turned 18 months old. Her parents moved to Portland permanently. They watched the children while Michelle taught. Jessica helped on weekends. Michelle had a support system of people who loved her and her children. Michelle bought a small house in Northeast Portland with help from her parents and the child support money. The house had 3 bedrooms and a backyard. Michelle planted a garden. She taught the children about growing tomatoes and carrots. They played in the grass and learned to climb on a small play structure. The children grew. They learned to walk and talk. Jacob's first word was book. Emma's was more. Noah's was mama. Olivia's was up, because she always wanted to be picked up to see things from higher. Michelle told the children age-appropriate truths about their father. She said some people are not ready to be parents. She said it was not their fault. She said they had enough love from the people who were present. She never spoke badly about Marcus in front of them. She just let his absence speak for itself. 5 years after the confrontation at the baby shower, the quadruplets started kindergarten. Michelle walked them to their classroom on the first day of school. Jacob held her hand tightly. Emma skipped ahead. Noah walked slowly, looking at everything. Olivia ran to the play area immediately. Their teacher was a kind woman named Mrs. Rodriguez. She looked at the 4 children and then at Michelle. Quadruplets? How wonderful. This will be an exciting year. Michelle watched her children explore their classroom. They were confident and happy. They knew they were loved. That was what mattered. Michelle was 38 years old. She never remarried. She focused on her children and her career. She had a good life. Not perfect, but full of love and purpose. She had friends and family who supported her. She had 4 beautiful children who were healthy and thriving. On quiet evenings after the children were asleep, Michelle sat on her back porch and thought about everything that happened. She thought about the scared woman who walked into that baby shower 7 months pregnant. She thought about standing in Barbara's living room telling the truth while everyone stared. She thought about the strength it took to do that. The strength to raise 4 children alone. The strength to build a new life. Michelle did not regret her choices. If things had gone differently, she might have 4 children in an unhappy marriage surrounded by people who did not respect her. Instead, she had 4 children in a home filled with love. She showed them what strength looked like. She showed them that people who hurt you do not deserve access to your joy. She showed them that a mother's love can overcome anything. The kindergarten teacher called Michelle in for a parent conference in October. Michelle went after work on a Wednesday afternoon. She sat in a small chair across from Mrs. Rodriguez's desk. "I wanted to talk to you about your children," Mrs. Rodriguez said. "They are all doing wonderfully in different ways. Jacob is already reading at a 2nd grade level. Emma is a natural leader. The other children follow her everywhere. Noah is incredibly kind. He helps other students who are struggling. And Olivia is fearless. She tries everything first." Michelle smiled. They are all so different from each other. They are, but they all have something in common. They are confident. They feel secure. That comes from good parenting, Mrs. Thompson. Whatever you are doing at home, keep doing it. Michelle felt warmth in her chest. Her children were thriving. That was all that mattered. That evening, Michelle cooked dinner for her small family. Her parents came over. They ate spaghetti at the kitchen table. Jacob told everyone about the book he was reading. Emma talked about the game she invented at recess. Noah showed them a picture he drew of their house. Olivia demonstrated how high she could count. "Can we have dessert?" Emma asked. "After you eat your vegetables," Michelle said. All 4 children made faces, but they ate their broccoli. Michelle gave them ice cream for dessert. They ate it quickly and then ran to the backyard to play before bedtime. Michelle stood at the kitchen window watching them. Jacob pushed Emma on the swing. Noah dug in the garden with a small shovel. Olivia climbed the ladder to the slide over and over. "You did good," Michelle's father said. He stood beside her at the window. "You gave them a good life." "We did good," Michelle corrected. "I could not have done this without you and Mom." "You could have. You are stronger than you know. But I am glad we could help." Michelle's mother came to the window too. "Have you heard anything from Marcus lately?" "No. He sends the child support payments but nothing else. He has not tried to see the children in almost 4 years." "And Barbara?" "She sent a Christmas card last year. I threw it away without opening it." Michelle's mother nodded. Some people never learn. The children came inside for bath time. Michelle washed them one by one. She put them in their pajamas and read them stories. Each child picked their own book. Jacob picked a chapter book about dinosaurs. Emma picked a picture book about a brave princess. Noah picked a book about animals. Olivia picked a book about a girl who climbed mountains. Michelle read all 4 books. Then she tucked each child into their bed. They each had their own room now. The house had 3 bedrooms, so 2 children shared the biggest room. Jacob and Noah bunked together. Emma and Olivia shared another room. Michelle had the smallest room for herself. "Mama," Emma said as Michelle tucked her in, "why do we not have a daddy?" Michelle had been preparing for this question. The children were getting older. They noticed things. Other kids at school had fathers who picked them up or came to school events. "You have a father," Michelle said carefully. "His name is Marcus, but he lives far away and he is not part of our family." "Why not?" "Because he made choices that took him away from us. Sometimes adults make choices that hurt people. Your father made choices that hurt me and hurt our family. So we built a new family without him." "Are you sad about it?" "I was sad a long time ago, but not anymore. I have you and Jacob and Noah and Olivia. I have Grandma and Grandpa. I have Aunt Jessica. We have everything we need." Emma seemed satisfied with this answer. "Okay, Mama. Good night." "Good night, sweetheart." Michelle went to her own room and got ready for bed. She was tired. Teaching all day and then caring for 4 children all evening left her exhausted. But it was a good exhaustion. A purposeful exhaustion. Michelle looked at a photo on her bedside table. It was from the hospital the day the babies were born. 4 tiny babies in 4 cribs. They were so small then. Now they were 5 years old. In another 5 years they would be 10. Time moved so fast. Michelle's phone rang. She looked at the screen. It was Patricia Hoffman. Michelle answered. "Hello, Patricia." "Hi, Michelle. I am calling with some news. Marcus's lawyer contacted me today. Marcus wants to terminate his parental rights." Michelle sat up in bed. "What does that mean?" "It means he wants to legally give up all rights and responsibilities as a father. He would no longer have visitation rights. He would also no longer have to pay child support." "Why would he do that?" "His lawyer says Marcus cannot handle the financial burden. The child support is taking most of his income. He also says he feels too much guilt about abandoning the children. He thinks it would be better for everyone if he just stepped away completely." Michelle was quiet for a long moment. "What do you think I should do?" "That is your decision. If you agree to the termination, Marcus will be legally removed from the children's birth certificates. He will have no rights and no responsibilities. You will receive no more child support, but he also can never try to contact them or claim parental rights later. Will I be okay financially without the child support? It will be harder, but you have your teaching salary. Your parents help with childcare. You might qualify for some assistance. You would manage." Michelle thought about her 4 children sleeping in their beds. They were happy. They were thriving. They did not know their father and did not seem to miss him. Marcus had been absent from their lives for 5 years. Making it legal would just confirm what was already true. "Tell his lawyer I agree," Michelle said. "Have him terminate his rights. We do not need him." "Are you sure?" "I am completely sure." Patricia said she would handle the paperwork. Michelle hung up and sat in her dark bedroom. Marcus was giving up. He was walking away permanently. Part of Michelle felt sad for her children. They would never know their father. But the larger part felt relieved. This chapter of her life was truly closing. No more court dates. No more lawyers. No more connection to Marcus at all. 3 months later, the termination was finalized. Marcus signed papers giving up all parental rights. The children's birth certificates were amended to show Michelle as the only legal parent. Michelle received the final child support payment. After that, nothing. Michelle heard through someone who knew someone that Marcus moved to California. He took a job in San Diego and left Oregon completely. He wanted a fresh start away from the reminders of his failures. Michelle wished him well from a distance. She hoped he learned something from everything that happened. Barbara's life continued to shrink. She still lived in her big house in West Lynn, but she was alone. She stopped going to church after too many people stopped talking to her. She hired a cleaning service because she could not keep up with the house by herself. She spent most of her time watching television and looking at old photos of Marcus as a child. Sometimes Barbara drove through northeast Portland. She looked for Michelle's house. She never found it. She looked for the children at parks and stores. She never saw them. Her grandchildren were growing up 10 miles away, and she knew nothing about them. She tried writing letters again, but Michelle returned them unopened. Michelle's life grew fuller. She got a promotion at Harrison Park School. She became the lead teacher for the 3rd grade department. She mentored new teachers and helped develop curriculum. Her principal told her she was one of the best teachers in the school. Jessica got married to a man named David. Michelle was her maid of honor. The quadruplets were flower girls and ring bearers. Emma took her job very seriously. Jacob walked carefully down the aisle with the rings. Noah scattered flower petals. Olivia ran down the aisle waving at everyone. Michelle dated occasionally, a man named Robert from church. They went to dinner a few times, but Michelle was not ready for anything serious. Her focus was her children and her career. Robert understood, and they remained friends. The children turned 6 years old in December. Michelle planned a birthday party in her backyard. She invited 20 children from their kindergarten class. She invited Jessica and David. Her parents came. Some of Michelle's co-workers came. The backyard filled with people and noise and laughter. Michelle set up games and activities. Pin the tail on the donkey, musical chairs, a piñata shaped like a rainbow. The children ran around playing tag. They ate pizza and fruit. They sang happy birthday around a large cake with 6 candles. Michelle stood by the fence watching. Jacob was helping a smaller child reach the monkey bars on the swing set. Emma was organizing a game of hide and seek. Noah was carefully setting out napkins and cups at the picnic table. Olivia was climbing the tree in the corner despite everyone telling her to be careful. These 4 children existed because Michelle refused to stay quiet. They existed because she fought for them before they were born. They would grow up knowing their mother was strong. That knowledge would make them strong too. Jessica came to stand beside Michelle. "This is a good party. Thank you for helping me set it up. Are you happy, Michelle?" Michelle looked at her 4 children. She looked at her parents laughing with the other adults. She looked at her small house with the garden she planted. She looked at the life she built. "Yes," Michelle said. "I am happy. I really am. You deserve to be happy after everything you went through, everything you survived. I did not just survive, I won, not because I hurt Marcus and Barbara, but because I built this." Michelle gestured at the party. A life full of love, a life they can never touch. The sun started to set. The party wound down. Parents collected their children. Michelle's parents helped clean up. Jessica and David stayed until everything was put away. Then they hugged Michelle goodbye. Michelle gave the children their baths. She tucked them into bed. They were tired from the excitement. They fell asleep quickly. Michelle sat on her back porch alone. The December air was cold. She wrapped a blanket around her shoulders. She thought about the past 6 years. She thought about the scared woman who walked into that baby shower. She thought about giving birth to 4 babies. She thought about fighting for custody. She thought about building a new life piece by piece. People called what Michelle did brave. They called it inspirational. Michelle did not see it that way. She just did what needed to be done. She protected her children. She stood up for herself. She refused to let cruel people win. Marcus lived somewhere in California now. He gave up his children. He would never know Jacob's love of books, or Emma's leadership, or Noah's kindness, or Olivia's fearlessness. He would never attend their school plays, or birthday parties, or graduations. He chose that. He walked away. Barbara sat in her big empty house. She had 4 grandchildren she would never meet. She would never bake cookies with them, or read them stories, or watch them grow up. She chose that too. She chose cruelty over kindness. Now she lived with the consequences. Michelle chose differently. She chose strength. She chose truth. She chose to fight for what mattered. And what mattered was sitting inside her house, sleeping peacefully. 4 children who were loved and safe and happy. The best revenge was not the confrontation at the baby shower, though that moment changed everything. The best revenge was this life, this ordinary, beautiful, difficult, wonderful life. A life Marcus and Barbara would never be part of. A life they could never touch or ruin. Michelle's 4 children would grow up strong. They would know their mother fought for them. They would know she chose them over comfort and silence. They would learn from her example. They would learn to stand up for themselves. They would learn that cruelty should not be tolerated. They would learn that family is not just blood. Family is the people who show up and stay. This was Michelle's legacy, not revenge against Marcus and Barbara, but 4 lives built on a foundation of love and strength. 4 people who would go into the world knowing they were wanted and fought for and cherished. Michelle went inside. She checked on each sleeping child one more time. She kissed their foreheads. She whispered that she loved them. Then she went to her own bed and fell asleep. Tomorrow she would wake up and do it all again. Make breakfast, get the children ready for school, teach her classes, come home, make dinner, give baths, read stories. It was exhausting and repetitive and sometimes overwhelming. But it was her life, the life she built, the life she fought for. And that made every difficult moment worth it. Michelle Thompson was not a victim. She was not broken. She was a mother, a teacher, a survivor, a fighter. She was exactly who she needed to be. And her 4 children would grow up knowing that their mother's strength was the foundation of everything good in their lives. If you enjoyed today's video, I'm sure you'll love the next one. Don't waste time. Just click on the screen